Mhm. Good morning to our Nash County parents and community members. Today's Connect and Inform and Engage will focus on virtual learning and face-to-face learning. I am Michelle Rosser, the Parent Engagement Coordinator for the Nash County Public Schools. In today's session, we will be doing a welcome and logistics for our meeting and present the topic on 2021 instructional options. Following our presentation, we will have a questions and answer panel with Nash County Public Schools staff. On your screen at the bottom, you should see a Q&A. If you click on that, you will then be able to have a pop-up box and you'll be able to type in any questions or comments that you would like for us to see and questions you would like for us to answer. Okay.
Reset. See, that's where webinars are different.
Good morning, Nash County Public Schools parents and community. I would like to welcome you to our Connect, Inform, and Engage topic on 2021-2022 instructional options. I am Michelle Rosser, the Parent Engagement Coordinator for the Nash County Public Schools system. Today's session will consist of a welcome and logistics by Mrs. Melissa Dancy Smith, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Our topic presentation will be on 2021-2022 instructional options. We will follow our presentation with a question and answer panel with Nash County Public Schools staff. On the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A. If you click on that, a pop-up screen will pop up, which will allow you to type any questions or comments for the panel and for the district. At this time, I would like to present to you Mrs. Melissa Dancy Smith, the Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Accountability.
Good morning. Words inadequately express how much it means that you have taken a break in what we know to be your very busy schedules to become connected, informed, and engaged in choosing the learning environment for your child during the upcoming 21-22 school year. Whether you choose to return to brick and mortar in the fall or enroll in our district's online learning program, which is Nash Everywhere Digital Academy, our commitment is to make learning exciting, engaging, and rigorous for all students, regardless of the place that teaching and learning will occur. We are excited about opening a new school year for our families and what it will look like. The panel this morning will share more information with you about your online learning options for next school year.
For today's presentation, we are privileged to be able to have with us, starting from the right of the screen to the left, Mrs. Christy Grant, the Executive Director of EC and Student Support. Mr. Danny Plyer, Director of Instructional Technology and Virtual Learning. Dr. Edward Hicks, Director of Curriculum Support. Mrs. Melissa Dancy Smith, Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Accountability. Mr. Chad Thompson, Executive Director of Secondary Education and CTE. And joining us virtually, Mrs. Dale Terrell, COVID Lead Nurse for our district. Also joining us in the room to be able to answer any questions that you have are Tremaine McQueen, Executive Director of Technology and Innovation, and Monique Hargrove Jones, Executive Director of Elementary Education.
Good morning. I want to begin by giving you an overview of what in-person instruction will look like in the 2021-2022 school year. At the beginning of the 21-22 school year, our schools plan to return to a regular schedule Monday through Friday. For elementary, that would be 8:15 to 3:15. For middle and high schools, that would be 7:30 to 2:30. Early college, 9:30 to 4:30, and city high, 9 to 4. You can expect daily in-person instruction. With the exception of specialized programs, virtual students will not be a part of these classrooms. We intend to have fully live instruction without any blended in all of our classes. And we will continue to use our district learning management systems that we've been using throughout this past school year. In Nash Everywhere Digital Academy, we'll refer to it as NEDA, moving forward for 21-22. For our K-8 students, occupational course of study and extended content standards students, you will have Nash County Public School teachers teaching only NEDA students. Again, we'll have just teaching virtual students only. There will be daily live instruction, and those times will be age appropriate for our students depending on their grade level. Students enrolled in NEDA will be a part of a school inside a school, registered in Power School with Tar River Academy. For our middle school students, you will still have opportunities for athletics and extracurricular activities at your domicile school, which means the school that's within the address where you live. You can expect similar pacing as our in-person instruction or face-to-face. Since you'll be being taught by Nash County Public School teachers, they will still follow the same pacing guide as our in-person instruction. You'll have the same district calendar. For elementary, there will be no live instruction for special areas, which is art, music, and PE. For high school students in NEDA, courses will be taken through Ed Options Academy, again, except for our OCS and ECS students. They will be served by our teachers in our district. In Ed Options Academy, there are North Carolina certified teachers. They are not necessarily teachers in Nash County, but they are North Carolina certified teachers. Flexible scheduling you can expect there. There will not be any live instruction, so it will be up to the students to determine when they want to complete the courses that are made available to them. So there'd be no live instruction with the possible exception of some courses like AP and IB, CTE and ROTC, and in group courses like band, chorus, and dance, etc. Mr. Thompson will talk about those exceptions in a little bit.
Good morning. For our student services considerations, just to discuss a little bit about what that would look like in both settings. For counseling services, students in person would have access to all counseling support services on campus. In Nash Everywhere, NEDA, students will have access to counseling services needed to meet their educational goals. Mental health services will be offered as needed, both virtually in a teletherapy mode, as well as community-based as determined needed. For nursing services, if they're in person, students will have access to all nursing services on campus. In the Digital Academy, school nurses will monitor the immunizations and other health-related enrollment information, as well as provide referrals and make connections to resources as requested by the parent, guardian, or teacher. For special education services, students will have access to all services supports as outlined in their IEP or their individualized education plan if they're in person, with the full array of FAPE provided as determined by the IEP team. For a Nash Everywhere Digital Academy, the IEP team will meet to determine if the IEP can be delivered as written in the virtual setting. If full FAPE, which is a free appropriate public education, cannot be delivered as written in the IEP in the virtual setting, then the IEP team will develop an online services and support plan to outline the services and supports that can be delivered in the virtual setting. With the 504, it's the same way. If a child is in person, students will have full access to all the supports determined needed by the 504 team. In NEDA, the 504 team will meet to determine if any changes need to be made to the plan, if there are any additional accommodations or modifications that need to be implemented due to services in the virtual setting. For services with our social work provided by our social workers, students will have access to all services if they're on campus. And then Anita, students will have access to all services as needed to meet their educational goals. For social emotional learning in person, universal social emotional learning and prevention services are offered to all students. And in NETA, universal social emotional learning and prevention services are offered to all students in grades K-8.
For our dual language immersion classes, our students who are enrolled in dual language immersion will receive instruction in the in-person setting only. The sites of our programs are located at Bailey Elementary, Middlesex Elementary, and then a combination of Winstead Avenue, which is a K-2 school, and Eaglewood Elementary, a 3-5 school. For our English learners, each English learner or student that is enrolled in the English as a second language program has an individualized language plan, and their language acquisition needs are addressed on a case-by-case basis. In both the in-person and the NETA setting, ESL staff will support student language needs as they arise and as they are written in the individualized English language plan.
For high school considerations, we're talking through specific programs today. Career and technical education, or CTE, if it's in person, students will have full access to all CTE courses on campus. In NETA, students will take some CTE courses on campus due to the hands-on aspect of the course. In our IB program, students will have access to all IB courses at Rocky Mount High School if accepted as far as in person. With NETA, students will be required to report to Rocky Mount High School if accepted in the IB program for courses. For advanced placement, or AP, in person, students will have full access to all AP courses on campus and online. In NETA, students will be able to take many AP courses online, but will be required to report to campus for courses such as AP Research and AP Seminar. As far as JROTC, students will have full access to JROTC courses on campus and online in person. In NETA, students will be required to come to campus to take JROTC courses. With our arts, band, dance, in person, students will have full access once again to band, dance, and art courses on campus. In NETA, students will also be required to report to campus to take these courses in band, dance, and arts. And then for extracurricular activities and clubs, in person, students will have full access to extracurricular and clubs. NETA, students will also have full access to extracurricular activities and clubs, but they will also need to report to campus to engage in these activities. So for our instructional choice form, it will be available until May 24th. We're asking that all students complete this form, whether they will be in person or NETA.
I would also like to make you aware that we are able to have with us Dr. Steve Ellis, our superintendent, and Mr. Leonis Farrow, our assistant superintendent of student support and operations. If you have any questions for the panel or for Dr. Ellis or Mr. Farrow or Ms. Hargrove-Jones or Mr. McQueen, please use the bottom screen Q&A button in order to submit questions to the team. We've also had a request for posting the slideshow. We will be posting the slideshow as well as this presentation. We have some pre-selected questions that are for the panel. Our first question is, please describe the ideal student for the face-to-face and virtual academy for each grade level.
So we feel like this student really needs to be self-motivated. They will need to be sure that they are able to do the work in the virtual academy because a lot of it takes a lot of self-motivation. and this student is committed to the work online. This will be the ideal student regardless of what grade level.
Will students have to come to campus for any kind of assessment? And if so, will transportation be provided?
We will provide transportation if students are required to come to campus for an assessment. Any state mandated assessments, such as the EOGs, the beginning of grade 3 reading assessment, and our EOCs, ACTs, things of that nature, will need to be administered on campus. Any local assessments or assessments that are not mandated by the state can be taken remotely or virtually.
For high school students, what are the attendance expectations for passing?
So for attendance, there will definitely be an attendance policy for the virtual academy. In some of our programs like Ed Options, it shows a meter that will show how much attendance is that has happened in each course. We will share this policy with our NEDA parents and students at that point, just so that you understand. It may look a little different, but there is going to be definitely an attendance policy.
What's the process for students whose parents would like to request a learning disabilities test in the virtual setting?
Anytime there's a suspicion of a disability, a parent can put a request in writing to the administrator, and the administrator will then call an IEP team, an individualized education plan team, together to review existing data, to discuss concerns by all parties, parents, teachers, et cetera, and determine if there are further evaluations that need to be need to be made, or if there is any other data that needs to be any other data that's needed. Sorry, but they can put the request in writing to the administrator, and there will be a team meeting held.
With high school students who participate in NEDA, would they be allowed to attend their home schools events such as prom?
Yes, these students will be able to participate in their homeschool events. Once again, we want to reiterate their home school, the school that they would be domiciled in, would be the school that they would participate in.
Are there any immunization requirements for students who attend NEDA?
The immunization requirements are the same for all students, whether they are in person or in the NEDA program. So those are dictated by the state at the school entry level, the middle school level, and the high school level.
Thank you. Those were all of the pre-selected questions that we have. Any of our participants who are joining us online, if you have any questions at this time, please type them in so that we can be able to ask our panel. We would like to thank our panel for meeting and putting together a presentation to help our parents. Can the learning option be reversed, changed once the students start instructional year?
We are asking that the commitment be made for our K-8 students for a year. If you sign up for the Digital Academy, you're committing to a year for that. For high school students, for at least the first semester, since courses usually change at the Christmas break, the commitment would be for at least one semester for high school.
Thank you. Will the district be providing hotspots and laptops for students in the virtual academy?
Thank you. In response to that question, Our district practices equity. So what we do for one student, we do for all students. And the first question with do we provide devices for all students? That is true. We provide devices for all students that are enrolled in Nash County schools. And the second question is, do we provide hotspots to our students? Yes, we do. However, with students who enrolled in the virtual option, there was a prerequisites question, I think that was, and it was, you have to, help me with that question.
Yes, one of the requirements for applying to NETA is that families have to have dependable internet service.
Correct. Correct.
One question that we have is for students eating lunch and breakfast. If a student is on NETA, will they be able to continue to pick up food as they have done this past year?
At this time, there has not been a determination from the state as to whether that would be a requirement for us to provide meals for breakfast and lunch. We're still waiting on that. At this point, we do not have a determination from the state whether that's a requirement or not.
We have another question. Will pre-K be an option for the virtual setting?
Good morning. Preschool is still an area that we're waiting on additional guidance from the state. The Division of Child Development and Early Education is our governing body for preschool. So we are waiting to hear whether they will require us to offer virtual services for preschool or whether it will be totally face-to-face.
We would like to thank everyone who has participated in today's panel. Prior to us leaving, I would. Are the same honors classes available with the NETA instructional option?
So yes, there will be some honors classes definitely available in the NETA option. So we have those for most of our core classes.
We'll wait a couple minutes to see if another question's gonna pop up. While we are waiting, I would like to give Mrs. Hargrove Jones an opportunity to explain kindergarten registration, and so that we can try to get all of our kids registered.
Thank you. Kindergarten registration is ongoing. In March, we opened up that window and we had kindergarten registration events at all of our elementary schools and also at the district level. So while those events are now over, we are still taking kindergarten registration packets. You can go to any school to pick up a packet, complete it, drop it off. You can drop it off at the TRC. You can also drop it off at our student data centers, and we will process that. But please apply for pre-K and register for kindergarten. We also have online options available as well.
We also have another question. Will specials be offered for grades 6 through 8?
So at this time, we will have some access to our electives, but those will be limited with what we can do online.
Seeing that there are no more questions, we're getting ready to close out our presentation. There's another question. When will an online schedule be posted?
So if you actually go to our webpage now, you will see recommended times for online instruction and things of that sort, but the actual schedules will be posted once students enroll and shared with parents during our parent orientation.
What's the time frame for online courses?
Yeah, if you could clarify time frame for us, are you talking about semester or are we talking about hours? If we can just get a little clarification on that
The
question.
school schedule.
Okay,
So
And she's checking it. And the hours. She went to school
In
schedule and
person?
the hours.
In person.
go back to the slide.
we'll slide back up.
Elementary for in-person instruction will be from 8:15 to 3:15. Middle and high school from 7:30 to 2:30. Early college would be 9:30 to 4:30, and city high school from 9 to 4.
If we opt in for in-person and things change, can we change to virtual? Is it a commitment for each way?
Yes, we're asking for a commitment for online instruction as well as in-person instruction. So just to reiterate, for elementary, it is a one-year commitment. And for our high school and middle schools, it's a one-year commitment. But for high schools, it is a semester commitment.
So the same times we apply for online and in-person when we're looking at the schedule.
From a scheduling standpoint, again, as we mentioned before, online instruction time frame is based on the age of the student. So they may have a 30-minute live instruction, a break, and come back again, or maybe as far as the amount of times that each time may fluctuate. We will try to have a schedule before the beginning of the school year for that. But in terms of when the live instruction would take place, it would take place within the same time frames as the in-person. For instance, if you're at elementary school, then your live instruction would take place sometime between the 8:15 to 3:15 timeframe, and there may be multiple times of that live instruction.
If a parent should have questions between now and the 24th, how should they go about trying to get those questions answered?
The best place to get the most accurate answers would be to call the central office or to email our Director of Instructional Technology, which is Mr. Danny Plyler. And all of that information can be found on our webpage under the Academics and Accountability Department.
Seeing as there's no more questions in our question and answer or our chat, I would like to thank our panelists. To our parents and community members who have participated in this webinar, if you should have a question between now and 6, we will be reconvening for another session at 6 p.m. We do encourage you to join us with questions and answers so that we may provide answers and help you to make an informed decision. If you should have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Mr. Danny Plyler. As stated, his email address is located on our district website. I would like to thank our parents for taking the time to join us in today's session, to our panelists for being presenters for today's session, and for all who support Nash County schools and students. Have a great day.